Good morning, dear students. In today's video, we shall try to understand lesson number 15 of your geography. And in this chapter, we shall be discussing about mainly air pressure, and we shall study about winds, the different types of winds. It was already explained in a previous chapter that the earth has been divided into 4 zones or 4 spheres: atmosphere, lithosphere, hydrosphere, and biosphere. And also I told you earlier that atmosphere, it is composed of air. From the earth's surface up to the height of 1600 kilometer, a layer of air surrounds our earth, and that is known as atmosphere. Our earth is surrounded by a layer of atmosphere. The air of the atmosphere is always on the move. Remember one thing, as you already know, we cannot see the air, but it has some interesting facts. First of all, the air of the atmosphere is always on the move. Air is always moving. We can feel it. If you take one copy or one book and we'll move it, you can feel the air. The air also has weight. This air, it also has weight. You can prove it with a very simple experiment. If you take 2 balloons or 1 balloon, you weigh the balloon without putting air in it, and after that you put air in the balloon and again you weigh it. You can find out the difference, and that difference is the weight of the air. With the increase in temperature, air becomes lighter and begin to move upwards. If the temperature increases, the air, it becomes lighter and it starts to move upwards. I think you have seen the hot air balloons. The hot air balloons, if we leave them, it generally goes up because in that balloon hot air is there. So that's simply about air. Now the second topic that we are going to study is here about atmospheric pressure. I already told you air has weight, and since air has weight, it exerts pressure on the earth's surface. The atmosphere extends to a height of 1600 kilometers. It was already told that from the earth's surface up to the height of 1600 kilometers, air is there. The different layers of atmosphere exerts pressure on the earth's surface. As just before some time I told you that air has weight, and that's why the different layers of atmosphere has got different layers like the troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, exosphere, and all these layers, they exert pressure on the earth's surface, and this pressure is generally known as atmospheric pressure. But remember, this atmospheric pressure, it is not same everywhere. Atmospheric pressure, it is different in different places. I shall be explaining you. We can measure atmospheric pressure with the help of barometer. Barometer, it is one instrument which is generally used for measuring the atmospheric pressure. You can see here in lesson number 15, air, pressure and winds, the picture of barometer is given here. This is the picture of barometer. In your senior classes, you will be getting in detail how to use it. This instrument is generally used for measuring the atmospheric pressure, and the name of the instrument is barometer. Now we are going to discuss about the different pressure belts, permanent pressure belts of the world. Pressure belt means air pressure belts. We can say the whole world or the earth's surface can be divided into 4 permanent pressure belts. Number 1 is equatorial low pressure belt or the doldrums. Second one is the subtropical high pressure belt. Third one is subpolar low pressure belt, and the last one is the polar high pressure belts. Let me tell you the extension of these different air pressure belts, and even I'll explain with the help of diagram. The first one, equatorial low pressure belt or the doldrums. The equatorial low pressure belt, it is also known as the doldrums. Along the equator, within 5 degree north and south, the temperature is very high and creates a low pressure belt. If we will consider the equator in both the hemisphere, in the northern hemisphere as well as in the southern hemisphere, from 0 degree up to 5 degree latitudes, the temperature is very high. You know, the equatorial region, it receives the direct sunlight or direct sunshine or vertical sunshine, and that's why the temperature is very high. And as the temperature is high, the air, it becomes lighter and it starts to move upwards. As a result, a permanent low pressure belt is created in the equatorial region. The second one is the subtropical high pressure belt. It lies between 30 degree and 35 degree northern hemisphere and as well as in the southern hemisphere. The air that rises at the equatorial region sinks at 30 degree to 35 degree latitudes and creates a high pressure belt. As we already got, in the equatorial low pressure belt, the air it rises up, and at 30 degree and 35 degree northern as well as southern latitudes, this air which rises up, it cools down and it comes down, and as a result it creates one high pressure belt. Then comes subpolar low pressure belt. Because of the rotation of the earth, the air at 60 degree and 65 degree north and south of the equator rises up, creating a low pressure belt. This subpolar low pressure belt, it is generally found at 60 degree and 65 degree both in the northern hemisphere as well as the southern hemisphere. Here what happens, because of the rotation of the earth, the air it becomes lighter and it starts to move upwards. As a result, a permanent low pressure belt is created. The last one is here about the polar high pressure belt. These belts lie near the poles, North Pole and South Pole. Near the poles, you can find out this high pressure belt. Here the air is very cold and heavy, and it accumulates and produces high pressure belt. In the polar regions, temperature is very low, and because of that low temperature, the air it cannot go up. It accumulates and it comes down, and as a result, one high pressure belt is created in the polar regions. Let me show you with the help of a diagram the different pressure belts. I hope you can see here. This is the equator. This straight line, it's the equator, and equator it is at 0 degree latitude. From the equator up to 5 degree in the northern hemisphere and up to 5 degree in the southern hemisphere, the air it generally becomes hot and it rises up. As a result, here one low pressure belt is created, that is equatorial low pressure belt. This air, when it reaches at 30 degree and 35 degree in the northern hemisphere as well as 30 degree and 35 degree in the southern hemisphere, it starts to cool down and it starts to come downwards. And when this air comes downwards, one high pressure belt is created, which is known as the subtropical high pressure belt, and it is found between 30 degree and 35 degree northern hemisphere and between 30 degree and 35 degree southern hemisphere. The third one, as I already told you, subpolar low pressure belt. At 60 degree and 65 degree northern hemisphere and 60 degree and 65 degree southern hemisphere, because of the rotation of the earth, the air it generally rises up, which creates one low pressure belt, which is known as the subpolar low pressure belt, and it is generally found at 60 degree and 65 degree northern hemisphere and 60 degree and 65 degree southern hemisphere. The last one, it was explained about the polar high pressure belt. This is the North Pole. This part it is known as the North Pole, and this part it is known as the South Pole. In these polar regions, the temperature is very low, and because of the low temperature, the air it generally comes downwards. As a result, one high pressure belt is created, which is known as the polar high pressure belt. So that's about all the different permanent pressure belts of the Earth's surface. Now we are going to discuss about another important point, the wind system. As I already told you, that air is always on move. Air it keeps moving, and this movement of air, it has two types of movement. One, it either rises upwards or it comes downwards, vertical movement. Another movement is, if this is the Earth's surface, it moves parallel to the Earth's surface, which is known as the horizontal movement. And this horizontal movement of the air is known as generally wind. You can see it is written, the horizontal movement of the air along the surface of the earth is called wind. The vertical movement, it is not known as wind. The horizontal movement of the air is generally known as wind. A wind is generally named according to the direction from which it blows. Remember, the different types of winds have been given different names, and these names are generally given by the direction from which it blows. For example, a wind blowing from the north towards the south. If any wind is blowing from the north towards the south, it is known as the north wind. The wind which generally blows from the west, they are known as the westerlies. So this is a system of giving the different names to the wind. Now I am going to explain you about the different types of wind. Generally, winds can be classified into four types: the planetary or permanent winds, the periodic winds, the variable winds, and the local winds. Let's try to understand one by one. The planetary or permanent winds. As the name suggests, permanent, and as I already told you, the name of the winds have been given as per their direction. So we can say winds which blow in a particular direction throughout the year is known as planetary or permanent winds. The winds which generally blow constantly in the same direction, they do not change their direction, those winds are known as planetary or permanent winds. For example, the trade winds, the westerlies and the polar winds are types of planetary winds. These are the example of different types of planetary or permanent winds, and these winds, they never change their direction throughout the year, constantly they blow in the same direction. That's about planetary wind. The second type of wind is periodic winds. Here also from the name we can easily understand about the wind. Periodic wind means it does not blow in a specific direction constantly, it keeps changing its direction. These are winds which blow regularly during a particular period of day or year in a specific direction. So we can say periodic winds, it blows a particular period of a day or year in a specific direction, and after that they again change the direction. For example, the sea breeze. The sea breeze is one type of periodic wind, and it generally blows from sea towards the land and during daytime. So you can see here, during day, sea to land in one direction. Land breeze, another type of periodic wind, it blows from land towards sea during night time. I think you can understand that here during daytime from sea to land one direction, again during night another period from land to sea, changing the direction. So they are known as the periodic winds. One more is there, monsoon wind. It generally blows in the monsoon season, and these are the different types of periodic winds which generally keep changing their direction after a particular period. The third one is variable winds. Variable winds means these winds are not regular and of short duration. You can see here, permanent winds, they constantly blow throughout the year in a specific direction. Periodic winds, they continuously blow for a particular period, but variable winds, they are of very short duration. We can say within short duration they keep changing their direction. For example, cyclones. I hope you have heard about cyclones. It generally brings a lot of destruction to our life and property. Cyclones and anticyclones, these are the two types of variable winds. In cyclone, the low pressure is at the center, means the wind is generally blows upward, and anticyclone, high pressure is at the center, that means the wind, it comes downwards. These are the example of variable winds. Let me show you the picture of cyclone and anticyclone. You can see this is the picture of cyclone. In the cyclone, low pressure is always at the center, means the air, it will be coming towards the center. And I hope you have seen in the TV or in the newspaper or somewhere that cyclone means whirling mass of air. The air will be moving in a whirl like that, and because of that storms also can be created, and generally cyclones, it is formed over the oceans, and because of the cyclone, lot of destruction can be caused both to our life as well as property. And anticyclones, high pressure is at the center, means during anticyclone the wind will be moving upwards, and during anticyclone the weather will be fine, there will be no rainfall, and generally anticyclones do not bring any type of destruction. That's about variable wind. The last type of wind is local wind. These develop as a result of local differences in temperature and pressure. I already told you the atmospheric pressure and the temperature is not static or is not the same in all the places. In different places, because of the difference in the temperature as well as pressure, different types of winds are created, and those winds are known as the local winds. They blow over small areas for a short period of time. The duration of the local wind is also very short. For example, Mistral is one type of wind which generally blows in different parts of France. Lou, I hope you have heard the name. It is one very hot wind, and even we may have sunstroke because of this Lu, it generally blows in the summer season in northern India. So that's about the different types of winds. So the chapter is completed. You need to go through the video properly, and also you need to read the chapter. If any doubt is there, you please get it cleared from me. Thank you very much.